For a long time, many people have believed that humans have a soul, something more than just a body and brain. But is there any scientific reason to believe that? Some doctors and researchers think so, and their experiences raise big questions about how our minds really work. The soul isn't some ghostly figure floating outside the body. A more classical view says the soul is everything that makes a body alive. It's what makes you talk, breathe, grow, think, and choose freely. Even plants and animals have simple types of souls. Plants grow and reproduce, and animals have instincts and emotions. But humans are different. We have rational souls, which means we can think about abstract ideas and make free choices. Because these abilities are not physical, this kind of soul is considered spiritual. And since spirits don't break down like physical bodies do, this soul is also believed to be immortal. Some scientists used to believe that everything about the mind could be explained by the brain alone, but real-life cases often challenge that idea. For example, there are people who are missing large parts of their brains, sometimes from birth, and yet they live completely normal lives. One woman had half of her brain missing, yet she developed normally, went to school, and held a great job. Another case involved brain surgery, where a patient had a large part of her frontal lobe removed while awake and continued to talk like nothing had changed. If our minds were entirely controlled by the brain, these outcomes shouldn't be possible. These kinds of experiences suggest that our minds might not be fully in the brain. Some of the most interesting experiments in brain science involve stimulating the brain with tiny electric probes during surgery. Doctors found they could cause people to move, feel emotions, remember things, or see and hear things. But no matter how hard they tried, they couldn't make someone think deeply, do math, play music in their head, or make a free choice. Abstract thought and free will never showed up from electrical stimulation. Even when people had epileptic seizures, they might move or feel emotions, but no one ever had a seizure that caused them to do algebra or think deeply about life. In some surgeries, doctors cut the bundle of nerves connecting the two halves of the brain. You might expect that to cause a split in consciousness, but people still felt like one whole person. Even more surprising, patients could compare pictures shown separately to each side of their brain. But since no single part of the brain saw both images, what was doing the comparing? That's hard to explain using just brain science. Some researchers believe this points to a part of us that's beyond the brain, like a spiritual soul. There are also cases where people with severe brain damage suddenly become clear and alert right before death. Some patients with Alzheimer's disease who couldn't speak or recognize loved ones for years suddenly wake up, talk clearly, and say goodbye. From a brain-based view, this doesn't make sense, but it might suggest the soul isn't completely trapped by the brain. Even people in comas have shown signs of awareness. With special brain scans, doctors asked coma patients to imagine certain tasks. Their brains lit up in ways that showed they understood, even though they couldn't move or speak. Some could even answer yes or no questions by changing their brain activity. This shows that consciousness can still exist, even when the brain seems off. Some scientists say free will is just an illusion. But most of us act every day as if it's real. We make choices, feel responsibility, and expect others to do the same. Studies have shown that even when brain signals seem to start a decision, people can still stop themselves at the last second. This ability to say no to a thought or action, called free won't, might not come from the brain either. That suggests our power to choose freely could come from something beyond the physical. The more we study the brain, the more we discover its limits. While it's clear that the brain is involved in how we think and act, it doesn't seem to be the whole story. Our ability to think abstractly, make free choices, remain aware even with damaged brains, and experience last-minute clarity before death all point to something deeper. This something could very well be the soul, a spiritual part of us that isn't made of matter, doesn't die with the body, and gives us the power to reason, love, and choose.